All right, I think we are going live. Let's give a little bit more light on the subject. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Get a Klu in 52. This edition is for coaches. Last year, what we were doing was the entrepreneur edition with my co-author and friend and client and colleague, Vipul Dayal. We did it in his branding. It was a real, true collaboration. The original Get a Klu in 52 is right here. This is the second edition of the original Get a Klu in 52 because I found all the mistakes I made in the first one and we redid it and made it better. And it's been fun for now. I'm going on 1, 2, 3. This is my fourth year of getting online onto a stream technology and reading one tip from the tips book. So 52 it rhymes with clue, of course. That's silly, but 52, so we have a year's worth and we have a reason for coming online. Well, thank you, Sue. Once a week. And it's just a fun way to be visible, to put content out there into the world, to initiate discussions. It's a viable reason to self promote because I'm trying to be of value. Content is king, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great way for me to spend my Friday. I used to do this Sunday nights. Then we moved to Tuesday nights when I was collaborating with Vipul Dayal on the Entrepreneur Edition, and I decided to give Fridays a try this year. So here we are. Welcome, Sue. We'll jump you into the conversation momentarily, unless you've got something hot that you'd like to share right away. Always well. You should no, that's okay. So everybody, welcome to Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included, of course, because I've been in the game long enough now to help people. I've trained coaches by the handfuls. If I don't know about triple digits yet, but definitely in the dozens. And I've been all around the world with my approach to leadership in the form of coaching and the pillars of leadership. You got engagement, motivation, accountability, and the 5 categories of this book are about this journey of practice building. I call it practice building, micro business owning. It's hard for me to fully call it a business. I don't have employees to this day. I still don't have employees. So a lot of times people say, build your coaching business, build your coaching business. I like to say, build your coaching practice. But no matter what, it starts with the first category of tips that we had was on self-promotion. We have to become a coach and learn how to promote ourselves as a coach. And so we had these great tips and these Kluby snacks from the first section of the book on self-promotion, talking about the identity of a coach, and what that means to us when we assume it. You got to learn how to coach, call ourselves a coach, start telling the world about coaching, and then we have to transition and get a little more evolved and figure out, how does this land? What does the world think of coaching? Does the world even know what a coach is? When's the right time to tell people I'm a coach? Am I just a coach, or am I more than a coach? What else is why am I coaching? Am I coaching for money? Am I clear that I'm coaching for money? I want to earn an income. I deserve to earn an income. If I hide all of that, it's going to dilute my self-promotional efforts. And who am I marketing myself to? And forget how I coach. Let's talk about the benefits to others of coaching. And we wrapped up the first section of tips. I must have deleted one somewhere along the way, number 9. But yeah, my tips are out of order. I guess I was deleting. But then we went into the second section of the book, which was, that's what it was. We had 11 tips. That's what it was. We had 11 tips on self-promotion, 9 tips on engagement. But in any case, I'm scrolling through these pretty quickly because what we're in now is the section on motivation. Then we're going to do 10 tips on accountability. And then we're going to wrap with 12 tips on this idea of practice building. I'm going to have a lot of fun in a stream of consciousness sort of way. I remember having fun writing the book, and it's going to be fun to read these tips out loud because it's musical and rhythmic and jovial. And by the end of the year, I will have earned all of that playtime because even though I have fun every Friday, it's work, to get up and do these things every week. But I think it's valuable because when we have a year's worth of recordings around this content, it's going to end up being something I'm very, very proud of. So I'm grateful to Sue for coming on board, making it interactive, right? I'm a fast-paced, variety-oriented extrovert, and you're more analytical, and so your energies always light me up, and I always get super more animated. And I'm just scrolling through all these tips that I've posted before, even if I've deleted a couple to make room, because StreamYard only gives you a couple. And some of the freebies that we've given out, like 8 steps to fearless public speaking on self-promotion, or why do we do 2 complimentary coaching sessions? We've got a video if you want to watch a 20-minute video on why 2 instead of 1, or more than 2, or 0. What's the whole idea around 2 complimentary coaching sessions as a means of increasing rate of enrollment? And There's more video that I've got for free on my YouTube channel, Watch Get a Clue. And everybody, if you want, you can schedule time with me. And if you have any questions, if you want to learn about coaching, if you want to get into group mentoring or learn about my coaches training program, just go ahead and schedule with me. There's the link for that. I've been promoting my association with the Professional Coaches Alliance all year long. I am the vice president of communication for the Professional Coaches Alliance. So it just makes sense this year that I'm in this mindset of advocating for this profession, this endeavor, this, if you want to call it a business, go ahead. But coaching is a valuable relationship. It's super important. Again, we've got all these promos. I'm just scrolling through until we get to where I really want to be, which is down here in these 10 tips on motivation is the section that we're in now. And so what we did was the very first tip in this section was we did an overview of outcomes for motivational coaching. There are 6 of them, and we went through those. And we've got a good Klubi snack here that whatever it takes to intervene in a belief, let alone actually change one, is a monumental skill set to have as a coach and leader. And that Klubi snack is alluding to, of all the things that we do to motivate people inside of coaching, it's either external motivation with strategies, tactics, and resources, or internal motivation by intervening in stinking thinking, check up from the neck up, behavioral intervention, etc. So after we get into overview of what motivational coaching is about, we start to get into our tools, our toolbox for giving strategies, tactics, resources to the people that are subjects of our leadership. So last week we were in emotional tools. We spent some time talking about the tools that I use when I'm helping people with emotional side of coaching. I'm not a mental health practitioner. I'm not an MD. I don't prescribe drugs. I don't lay people on the couch, right? But I do know a lot about the drivers of inner psychology and our human needs. And from Maslow to Jung to Tony Robbins to Brian Tracy, or all of the Ivy League studies about human achievement. I mean, what motivates people is known. I mean, it comes down to pleasure and pain, and then it gets a little more complex after that. But we as coaches need to know what motivates people. And that's one of the things that we do to help people is get them in touch with the behaviors that create good emotion rather than destructive emotion, etc. Without going too far into the rabbit hole there, let's go ahead and get it on the screen here. Tip number 23 is today's tip, and it's physical tools. And so I'll take a deep breath and a sip of coffee before I read the word for word, and it shouldn't take me too long as I look at it. This is a fun one. I'm going to use another acronym for this, but Sue, let me just go ahead and see if there's anything that I've said in my intro that provokes a comment, a question, or anything before I get into the word for word read. And I'm really just, you don't have to say anything. I just really want to take a sip of coffee. So I'm just inviting you to talk while I take this sip.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. Good to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Just, going back to the emotional tools, the tip from last week. And as we move on from that, had a conversation with someone just the other day and I just went through one exercise with them around from an emotional tool perspective, and they found it incredibly insightful. And it was like, wow, this is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great.
We feel what we feel, but when somebody can, in a safe way, help us see what we're feeling, right? Or feel it deeper or feel it more. When you said the word that I love that you used is insightful. There's a great book. I forget the name of it and I forget the author of it right now, but it was about insights. What is an insight? And I love the quote. It stuck in my head. An insight is an unexpected shift to a better story.
Love that.
Yeah. And when we can facilitate that for people, that's powerful, right? So I'm really happy to hear that share. Again, understanding human needs, understanding emotional addiction, understanding ego defense, understanding the 3 ingredients of mindset, their state of mind in any given moment, and being able to help people see these things is powerful stuff. As a review of last week's tip, emotional tools. That was tip number 22. So thank you for that comment as we head into the word for word of it all. I get to sneak one more sip of coffee in. Again, happy Friday to everybody out there. All right, here we go. Tip number 23, page 94. Can you believe it? 23 weeks, and it's only taken me 94 pages to do it. All right, here we go. 23 tips. Here we go. Health is one of the most common things people want to work on in coaching. And if they don't want to work on it, there's a strong chance they really need to. That's so fun. I don't want to make that a Klu snack, but it's my sense of humor. Can you hear it? I'm going to say that again. Health is one of the most common things people want to work on in coaching. And if they don't want to work on it, there's a strong chance they really need to. I have lots of tools or strategies to recommend for helping people with health. Be clear. The greatest thing there's a typo there, do, right? This is why I read these. One of the reasons I read these out loud, I find out my typos in case I want to redo. All right. One of the greatest, and it should be things. Oh, no. Oh, I can do. That's right. All right. I got it. I got corrected. Okay. Be clear. The greatest thing I could do for someone is get them willing to work on their health and then refer them to a trainer, nutritionist, or expert of some sort. That said, here are some things I do feel comfortable discussing with or making assignments of for my clients who need to intervene in their health. Go to bed and rest. Exclamation point. TEBED. I should type that in as a banner, and I will when I get done reading here. That is my simple way of remembering the 6 primary paths to improved health. Going to sleep is not the same thing as getting rest. Rest is what the body needs to heal itself. In order to rest more peacefully, we can look to any or all of the things making up TEBED. TEBED acronym, making up the TEBED acronym. So here we go. Starting with T, thoughts. Being able to think good, positive thoughts that avoid unnecessary worry, negative self-talk, and limiting beliefs is critical to reducing the amount of stress or cortisol in our systems. Aside from stress reduction, positive thinking is also associated with visualization and manifestation. E, exercise. There's 2 E's in the acronym. The first one we'll go with is exercise here. Resistance, cardio, and flexibility workouts have unlimited benefits. B, breathing. Most people do not realize that they're not breathing fully or in healthy ways. Very often in coaching sessions, I will ask clients to breathe with me. Most commonly, deep breaths, but sometimes I'll assign patterns. Being able to lead clients in breathing and assign breathing patterns exercises is a very helpful tool. I added the word very in there because I believe it. Here we go. Eating, the second E. All the cliches apply. You are what you eat, and our bodies are our temples, and so forth. And I'm not a nutritionist, but have learned to ask people about their morning consumption habits, nighttime snacking habits, portion sizes, vices like soda, breath mints, desserts, and so forth. Drinking, D. Most people do not drink enough water. Most people drink things that dehydrate them, like coffee, soda, alcohol, energy drinks, fruit juices, and even drinks with the word water in them, if loaded with other chemicals and sodium or sweeteners, are not really hydrating at all. Dehydration is a silent assassin to our health. And that's the acronym TEBED, but let me continue here to finish out this tip. Chiropractic. I'm a big fan of chiropractic care. Our body is a series of wires that are sending information all over the place. If those wires are kinked, our body cannot communicate efficiently with itself. When clients are complaining of forms of ongoing pain or versions of stuckness, I end up asking if they have ever done chiro. I owe a deep debt of gratitude to 2 chiropractors. Wow, you're choking up like deep. That's how deep my gratitude is. I owe a deep debt of gratitude to the 2 chiropractors who have taken care of me over the years, Dr. Caden Maxwell from 2009 until we moved to India in 2014, and more recently, Dr. Samila Hi-Fi, who I began seeing once I started flying all over the world at the end of 2016. I'm a big believer in unkinked hoses. All right, there we go. That's it. And I just saw Dr. Hi-Fi earlier this week. I feel great. And it's always special. She works on all of my family members, my wife, my children, all of them go in for chiropractic and massage combinations through Dr. Samila Hi-Fi. So if you're out there listening and if you're in the 92129 area code, and even if you're within like 20 miles, it's worth it. Drive on over to Hi-Fi Family Chiropractic here in the 92129. There you go. Sue, get on a plane and fly over from down under and make sure Dr. Hi-Fi can get her hands on you. She's magical.
Might just have to do that.
You might just have to. So there you have it. That's physical tools, and there's more. And I'm just being brief about it, but it's like, again, as coaches, we don't have to be the nutritionist. We don't have to be the doctor. We don't have to be the chiro. We don't have to be the MD prescribed. We don't have to be the trainer. We have to be the person that gets somebody willing to work on their health And then we have to have enough strategy in our toolbox to ask some good questions to find out what's going on. And then ultimately we want to be able to refer people to the specialist that can take them deeper, right? And it's really important, by the way, when we're recommending anything from a health perspective, that we have some experience with it. Fidelity and integrity, not in the way that I'm promoting the integrity game as a brand, but integrity, like, walk your walk. And there's a story that I would tell, but here's what I'm getting at. When I went through my coaches training and I learned about health tools and how to help people in health related areas, we had to do a 10-day health challenge. So for 10 days, we had to do all of these different lifestyle adjustments for 10 full days. So that way we'd have autobiographical experience of all of them if we ever ended up recommending them, right? So breathing techniques, live waters, eliminating acids in flesh. And I remember, for 10 days, I would not combine starches with proteins in my diet. I would have greens and either a starch or a protein, using lemons as dressing instead of salad dressing to eliminate sugars and fats and crap. And you know what I mean? Tons and tons and tons and tons of water, and 2-4-2 count breathing techniques, like, in for 2 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 2 seconds, and to get lymph, a form of waste, out of our body that can only move through our body with good breathing patterns. And so in other words, there's a deep dive that I'm not going into here, that I didn't include all of this stuff in the book. So there's tons that I've learned and tons that I bring to bear. But what I want coaches out there, aspiring and emerging coaches, to know out there is that if anybody, you can't build a mansion on top of quicksand. So any area that you're trying to support somebody, and if they're not managing their health, you're building mansion on top of quicksand. At some point, health will sabotage the ability to do the other things. At some point, if you're not taking care of your health now, it will take care of you later, right? I struggle. Not struggle. I say I should. What's the word? I toggle. There are some years where I'm super committed to my health, where it's one of my top 3 things that I'm focused on, to the exclusion of all other things, right? And so this is one of those years, by the way, Sue, you could tell I'm down 30 something pounds this year, and I'm really on top of my game as far as diet, supplements, hydration, walking, not eating 3 hours before I go to bed, meal portions, eliminating stuff, right? And it's not perfect. I went 33 days earlier this year with no alcohol as a gift to myself for my 51st birthday. So, but like, I'm just taking better care of myself because it's one of my top priorities. There's other years where sales, marketing, and operations is my priority. To hell with my health. I'll work on that. And starting January 1st, I'll make a new commitment. Or sometimes just my health isn't in my top 3, if you will. You know what I mean? So when I'm doing goal setting and I'm reevaluating my objectives for the year and my goals for the quarter, I really have to focus on what are the very, very, very most important things. Okay. So we don't want to, I never want to ignore my health or keep my health out of the top 3 for more than a year, right? Any more than a year, then it's like really, really damaging to lifestyle. And we're all overcoming the ways that we were raised, and the habits and the addictions, the chemicals, the sodas, the food industry, all the stuff, right? It's challenging, but I'm sitting here today very happy. I feel great. I'm taking great care of myself this year, and this is a fun tip to read today. So let me pause there and open it up for conversation. Sue, what say you around any of the tools that I mentioned, the acronym of TEBED and rest? These are the 6 health principles, TEBED, and then rest. Get to bed so that you can rest peacefully. So when we go to lay down, we're not going to rest peacefully if we're bloated from, snacking endlessly, binge watching TV right before we go to bed. If you know what I'm saying? If we're dehydrated, we might cramp in the middle of the night. Like, you're not going to really rest the way your body needs to without taking care of these other 5 things. What are our thoughts? What are we eating? Have we exercised? Right? How's our breathing? On and on. So about any of those things or anything else that you've experienced about giving or receiving health coaching, or anything that you've got, comments, questions?
I love the acronym, using TEBED, because it helps to remember each of those areas. And
I'll create the banner. Yeah.
A couple of things. The value of even picking one of those and practicing that yourself, like you did for 10 days at least, to get that experience of the difference that it makes for yourself, I think is invaluable to experience that. And certainly there's a lot of those that I've done for myself, and they're things that I come back to a little bit like you. I might not be as consistent all the time, but there's certainly tools that I use for my own health management that I will come back to regularly. And I think what I like about these too is that for anyone reading the book or listening to this conversation, they can try those with confidence, because they've all got such strong scientific underpinning. There's
That's
research.
Right.
There's research that shows the value of each of these, and you can choose to do a deep dive on any one of those and
because they're connected, they're interrelated. You can't pay attention to improving your efforts in one without the ripple. Now, what you're saying is very important, because when we look at, if we've been ignoring our health for an unflattering amount of time, my thoughts, exercise, breathing, it could be too much, right? We don't want to get overwhelmed. So what you're saying is very important. Pick one of these that you really want to focus on, and just focus on it for 10 days, and then see if you want to focus on another one or develop. Like, there's all this literature out there about it takes 27 days, 30 days to build a habit or to break a habit, etc. The truth is, you could get into really good habits here for 3 months, 6 months, a year straight, and then regress into old stuff, right? Or a trauma can occur. I found myself very conscious this week of my emotional state, because here I go. Here we go. My oldest graduates from high school this evening. Later on this evening, in a couple of hours, we're going to be out there in the cap and gown. And 2 days ago, they did walk the halls, where they go back to the elementary school and they walk around, and all of the kids come out of the classroom and give high fives in cap and gown. So the other day, I looked at my son for the first time wearing cap and gown, and I'm just like, I realized, and he's moving out in less than a month. So what I'm saying all of this because I know that I'm on fragile ground emotionally this week for all kinds of reasons. It's wonderful, by the way.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, like, I hadn't had any ice cream all year long. And all of a sudden this week, I bought and I populated our garage fridge with all these flavors of ice cream for the family. Like, it's for the family, right? And, I found myself one night going, oh my God, my son's So what I'm getting at is, we can build pretty good habits. We can be disciplined to do a great job. But any emotional trigger, any event, any episode or whatever can send us right back into a comfort thing or a craving or a what have you. So that's why it's important to talk about and have support and tell people what you're doing, and let the world know if you're making a commitment to something, to see if they're interested or they can support you in some way. That's what coaching is so valuable, because to undo bad habits, to create new habits, to be disciplined, to have willpower, sacrifice, to delay gratification, to make good choices. It's not easy, and the world's not making it any easier on us. The world, the profit motive of the world doesn't really care about our health. They care about us buying their products.
So true.
So it's up to us and the communities that we build and the clients that we serve and the conversations that we have. And for what it's worth, I'm happy to be here every Friday and bring up this important conversation. The other point I want to make is, not only do you not have to address all of these, right? You have to sleep every day, right? But you can improve your sleep. And I talk about this. Let me see if I can get more light on my subject here. There's strategies for improving sleep. There's strategies for improving thoughts. There's strategies for exercise. There's strategies for breathing. There's strategies, like you said, scientific underpinnings give us step 1, step 2, step 3. There's gazillions. Find the ones that'll work for you. Like on exercise, for example. I I don't go and lift weights. All I do is I get up and I'll walk for an hour in the morning with an empty stomach. So there's motion. I shake up the can. The second 30 minutes, I'm burning a bunch of calories. And then while I'm doing that, I got my headset on. I'm breathing in and out as the motion is going. I'm outdoors and I can hear my own thoughts, and the dogs aren't barking. And what usually happens, by the way, 20 minutes in to the walk, my brain starts firing in a way where you start downloading creativity and thoughts and insights, right? Unless I'm like consuming an audio book or something like that. But for me, it's just an efficient way to get some exercise in, like feeding several birds with one grain. So I don't have to run. I went to the baseball game with Dr. Peter Anderson the other night. He's like 70 years old, and he's like, rightfully so, bragging about how he's like, oh, I only run 8 miles now. It's like he's 70 years old, and he's like, yeah, it took him, and he ran for an hour and a half that morning. And here he is, he's just a powerhouse. I remember at his 50th birthday party, it was like a triathlon. And we're going to climb this mountain, and we're going to swim, and we're going to ride bikes, and I was like, we play basketball all day. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. It's great. There's endurance people, there's, challenge people, there's climb Mount Everest people in the world, but that's not what we're talking about. And not only for our clients that we serve, but, for us as coaches, we want to, it's very, it's embarrassing to see health coaches out there that don't look like they're taking care of their health. It's embarrassing. You follow? So if you're aspiring or emerging as a coach, and life coaching is what you plan on including in your offering, you're going to have some strategies, some tools in your toolbox to help people with their health. And even if you're not a health coach or a life coach, if you're a marketing coach or a sales coach or a business coach or a marketing funnel coach or whatever you are, any of those strategies, right? If you're communicating to people that aren't taking care of their health, you got to be wary that you may be building a mansion on top of quicksand. At some point, people's health is going to be the reason that they're not executing your strategy. They don't have the stamina, the endurance, the focus, whatever it is, or they're distracted by their health, or they got to pull over and go get a soda, and that's why they didn't make the phone call you told them to make, or whatever it is. So we want to be aware of health. We want to be able to earn the permission, earn the rapport, earn the trust to ask people about their health. Like I'll ask, tell me what's the first thing you put into your body every day? Do you have snacking patterns at night? When do you go to bed regularly? Is it the same time, or does it differ depending on the day? When you have your dinner at night, when is that relative to when you go to bed? And do you do snacking in between? Talk to me about your favorite foods that you eat. Are you combining starches with proteins all the time? How's your breathing? Like, it's just turn these. We don't have to have all the answers, but all we need as coaches to be able to ask the questions and then let them talk to us, right? And so you don't think that you have to solve somebody's health, right? But what you really do want to pay attention to is our responsibility to get people willing to talk about it and then talking about it, so that then if our tools, our recommendations, the strategies that we're aware of, that we've embraced for ourselves or seen others have success with, are appropriate to recommend. Or more importantly, as I mentioned in the tip, make sure that you have a nutritionist in your Rolodex. Make sure you have a personal trainer, a physical trainer. Make sure you know the gyms close by and who's running the gyms and who's a good gym manager and what are the sham gyms versus the good gyms or whatever. Make sure you have a physiology. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you have a deliverables team for the things that we're not qualified to do for people. Okay, so I like to use the analogy that our job as coaches is to pop the cork. That they may need to go drink the bottle with a trainer, a nutritionist, a physiologist, a what have you, right? A surgeon, a doctor, or whatever. So we want to be the people that are getting people willing to talk to their doctor, willing to go have a consultation at a gym, willing to go get a scan, and figure out what their body fat mass index is. Or our job is to create that willingness to be held accountable, the motivation to change a behavior. It's not our responsibility to actually change their health. If that is their responsibility to change their health, it's our responsibility to get them willing to talk about it, and on and on and on. I just wanted to be clear about that, at least the way that I approach this thing called coaching. What else, Sue? Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I love that idea of Well, firstly, recognizing we don't have to have all the answers, but it's creating that awareness, but taking the time to have those referrals that we can say, these are trusted people that we might know of.
Yeah.
But also by building that awareness, at least it brings that to the attention of the individual that we're working with, and it recognizes their individuality, and that whereas we might do something, say exercise one way, they might do it differently, but it's still exercise.
That's right.
So it's opening up that opportunity to at least consider, well, what resonates with them in terms of how they might address that particular area.
Am I doing resistance? Am I doing endurance? Am I doing flexibility? Right? And pay attention to your body. How does your body feel? Do you need to be stretched out? Do you need more energy? Like, usually we know the answers, right? If we're not numbing ourselves with the day-to-day and the rigmarole. And that's wonderful. Absolutely. Because there's so many ways. Now, we talked about one other thing that came to mind as you were saying that is not just strategies we can recommend in the moment, right? Like, I'll give you an example on sleep. We talk about rest, restorative rest. Let me put that back up, right? Restorative. Because when we're really resting, that's when our body heals itself, right? And if we can't get into a good deep sleep, now here's what's, it's hard for me to tell this truth without getting emotional, because I carried a lot of guilt around it once the reality hit me. But I used to snore quite a bit, and I mean, like, really bad, where Marianne would be waking me up all the time because I wasn't breathing. And so it would get difficult. And I didn't realize the damage I was doing to myself. And I didn't realize the damage I was doing to her, because she had a hard time sleeping. It would disrupt her sleep, not only like just the noise of it, but the worry. If she would look over and like, he's not breathing, should I wake him up or not? And I would be not breathing, but then I'd finally fall under. And then she would wake me up, and I'm like, man, I finally fell asleep. What are you waking me up for? And now I'm mad at her for waking me up, and she was trying to save my life. And what a bad deal that is, right? So what I found out, Sue, and by the way, this is kind of remarkable that I was as productive as I was under these conditions. But I found out that of the measures that they take, when I went in, and there's the thing, you're scared, you're terrified, people would say, dude, you need a CPAP machine. You should go get a sleep study. Like, no, I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to know what I'm going to find out. I'm guilty, right? We've all been there. But I went, and I slept in the hospital that night, and they put all this stuff on me. I remember they taking a picture so I could show my kids, like, look at all these wires, bionic man, whatever. Patches and nodes and diodes. And anyway, so the results were terrifying. They told me that normal oxygen levels during sleep are 90% or better, right? And I was at 80. They said that how many times per hour, right, or minute, 60, how many times per minute or per hour was my breathing interrupted?
Right.
And it was 1.5. So out of every 60 seconds, my breathing was interrupted 1.5 times. So now imagine every minute, twice, Marianne's wondering if I'm dying. I had no idea. All I was just like, why'd you wake me up? Right. And then the other scary thing, the third measure that was scary was that a sleep cycle is 90 minutes. So the idea is we get into deep REM, after we fall asleep, about 35, 37, 40 minutes, ish, over 30 minutes, in between that, the bottom of the sleep cycle, that's when we're in deep REM, rapid eye movement, like twitching and stuff, right? Like, and that's when the body's doing it's healing. So that's the state that we want to get into. Is deep sleep means rapid eye movement, the restorative sleep. And they said, from a cycle that normally we are in REM about 20% of every sleep cycle, right? Well, my measures were zero. Zero.
Wow.
I wasn't getting any rapid eye movement in my sleep. Zero. Because my breathing was interrupted so often, I would always be waking myself up. So I'm laying there and my body wants to go to sleep and I fall under, but then I stop breathing and wake myself up, or Marianne wakes me up, and I'm never getting the restorative sleep. So my body's not doing what it's supposed to do for itself. So it's not sweating out toxins, or it's not whatever the mechanisms are. I'm no doctor, right? And so I was, oh my God, I'm killing myself. I'm just, I had such a guilt complex, right? And I swear, ever since I got my CPAP machine, it's coming up on 2 years now. Maybe there's been one night, maybe 2 nights in 2 years where I didn't sleep with my CPAP machine on. And now I don't even care if I'm taking a 30-minute nap. I put it on. Does that make sense? And then, by the way, back to strategy. Yeah. People are like, oh, fatigue and energy. And when I'm coaching people, I educate them on the 90-minute sleep cycle. It's like, look, if you're going to take a nap, don't take a 1-hour nap because you don't want to wake up in the middle of REM. Don't take a 10-minute. A 10-minute nap would be better than a 1-hour nap, right? So for me, it's 30 minutes or less so that I can nap without going into deep REM, or I'm committed to the full 90-minute cycle. So when I show people my alarm, it's got all these funky times on it because I'll ask Siri to set the alarm, I've got all these times on my phone, all of these different times because of, do you see that? Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
Because I'll just, hey Siri, I'll look at the clock, I'll do the math. So there's a mathematics of sleep. The other thing too is we know a sleep cycle is 90 minutes. So if I have to wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., I'll do the math backwards. So let's say I know I want to leave the house by 7 a.m. and I want an hour to get ready in the morning. That means I want to wake up at 6. So then I go 4:30, 3, 1:30, midnight. So I either got to go to bed at 10:30 or midnight to get the full sleep cycles, because I don't want to wake up in an REM and feel like I'm sluggish. And still, does this make sense? So I can see, I don't care if I only get 3 hours sleep as long as I get 2 full sleep cycles and wake up at the top of a sleep cycle rather than at the bottom of one. So these are little minor strategies that we could, for energy management, for alertness, to overcome fatigues. There's all kinds of tools in our toolbox. And what I was going to mention earlier, before we get to last call on this topic, is that not just having a deliverables team, like not just knowing the gym and the trainer and the doctor or the physiologist or the nutritionist or the CrossFit person or the P90X guy or whoever's got the supplements to sell you down the street or whatever, right? And by the way, I didn't even talk about my supplemental regimen that I'm doing right now this year, which is to hydrate my cells, right? But what I want to get at is we also want to know what books or movies can we refer to people. Sometimes people will much rather pick up a book and read a book than go out and talk to somebody if they don't want to get sold into a program, or if they're afraid of going down a rabbit hole of whatever the case may be. And so you want to be careful about your referral partners. Make sure they're trusted, and that anybody that you refer is going to handle people the way that you want them handled, right? But an in-between, sometimes it's safe for people. You might say, there's this movie, Super Size Me. This guy did an experiment where he's going to only eat McDonald's food for 30 days straight. And I can't even get through the movie. I could only watch about 30 minutes of it before I'm like feeling it, because I'm such an empath. I'm like starting to get sick just watching the guy. But you could recommend a movie or a book. There's like Diet for a New America, and like there's a lot of classic, and new literature that's coming out. Websites, blogs, be careful about how, because you're not just trying, you don't want to mistake the nobility. It makes so much sense to us. Oh, your health is so important. Your body's your temple. You only get one crack at this. You got all of those cliches apply, like we said, but usually it's not the health that's the problem. Usually people's poor health is a function of like trauma, beliefs, mindset, circumstance, depression, emotional stuff, right? So when we have to be aware that we're going to help the health. We're noble, we're righteous, we're logical. Of course, we want to make health, but what we got to be careful about is there's some pathological reason. There's some reason the health is that way. And that whatever that reason is the reason they're going to resist whatever we offer. So that's why understanding emotional tools and mindset and drivers of inner psychology, and then adding now I don't have two sets of tools. If I know my emotional tools and I know my physical tools, each of them make the others better. And I have a more wherewithal. But again, if we don't,
so you can go like,
you got it. So again, this is as deep as this conversation is, and as fun as the conversation is, we're just scratching the surface. That's why I want everybody to get into our group mentoring sessions. I want people to ask me about my coaching and leadership training. When it comes to group mentoring, I call it Klu's Ooze online office hours. We do 3 live sessions every month. Plus we have over 100 recordings in the archives because I've been doing group mentoring for a couple of years now. So we've got a beautiful library of over 100 recordings of me doing case studies, role plays, fill in the blank workbook dialogues, puppeteering, role play sessions, and everything in between. And ask me anything sessions. And all of that is around getting people engaged, delivering motivation, delivering accountability. I'm reading these tips from the book, which is valuable, but it's nothing compared to the scuba diving that we do inside of group mentoring, and certainly the immersion of my coaching and leadership training, which is still not something I've really promoted publicly. It's really just been privately offered for the people that are really interested in it. But here we go. We're offering everybody a code for 50% off of group mentoring. And we do 3 live sessions per month, which become part of, next year we'll have 136 sessions in the archives, right? And it keeps on building. So we want more and more people in there. That's affordable for you guys out there. If you use the code, it's only $50 a month, and you get 3 live sessions plus access to all of the recordings. Try it for a month and drop out after you've watched a couple of sessions if that's what you need to do. We're happy to see you no matter what. So the other thing that I want to let people know is we are going to fire up the Integrity Game 90-Day Challenge. It's not a health challenge, and we're talking about physical tools today, but the 90-Day Challenge is coming up. We ran it last year for 12, 13 weeks. We're going to do it again, and the price is going to go up. The actual price is going to double after September 1st, so you're going to see promotions from me over the next 3 months, June, July, August, because the 90-Day Challenge will start in the after Labor Day, the first Wednesday after Labor Day, September 6th. So keep your eyes out for promotions I'm doing on the 90-Day Challenge. And as always, I do want you guys to check out the Professional Coaches Alliance. They're Margot Garcia, she's not with us today, but I'm going to see her in about 18 minutes because we have a board meeting. She's Director of Programs, or VP of Programs. I'm VP of Communication. Margot puts together such a great program of subject matter experts in all of the areas that coaches, aspiring emerging coaches building their practices can benefit from. So Mary Kravitz is our guest, one of our guests this month. Mary, if you're out there, hello to you. I can't wait for you to have a great session. And there's a lot of benefits and resources and tools and connectivity and that we're doing in Professional Coaches Alliance. I'm giving it my all this year to help that out. And I facilitated the merger between an organization called California Coaches and Professional Coaches Alliance. And so it's fun to contribute to that community and to wave the flag of advocacy for this very, very, very important profession of coaching. And whether you want to build your own private coaching practice or you're a leader in an organization and you want the skill sets, the tools of a coach in your leadership toolbox, right? Because you're a manager, director, supervisor, VP, whatever it is, you've got direct reports and you want to be a better leader for them. You will help knowing what a coach knows. It's just that they're not paying you money directly. That's the only difference, but everything else applies. So last call, Sue, having said all of that, last call, what do we got? As any other comments or questions? What else can I put up here on the banner?
I love the foundations that you're offering here. Just so valuable. Yeah. Great.
Well, yeah, thank you. It's mutual. These foundations love you too. And it's like, I like to put I'd be silly on a Friday, right? I like to put the found in foundations, right? Why be lost when we can be found? And of course, when you talk about foundations, I'm always striving to put the fun in the fundamentals.
Yeah, too.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, This personal professional growth stuff is hard enough. Let's have a good time. Let's smile. Let's be jovial and vulnerable all the way. So there we have it. There's another edition of Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included, because even as I endeavored to be like a mentor to aspiring and emerging coaches, I realize I'm still pushing my boulder uphill. I've got many, many, many more milestones to achieve in my career through this profession. So far, so good. But I've got a lot of work to do myself. And so I'm being vulnerable every week, even though I've got a lot to offer the up and comers. I'm still standing on the shoulders of giants and looking to grow myself. So we're all together in this endeavor, and coaching is really, really important, and it's getting more and more recognized in the world. So I'm happy to make my contributions. It's like there's full-time coaching positions all over the world now in corporations and institutions. When I started coaching, nobody knew what a coach was. And now it's like full-time salaried positions on site for coaching. It's great. It's great. So I'm really happy to make my contributions to the movement. And thank you for being here as well, Sue. And for any of you that were out there that were able to chime in during the live stream or are watching a recording of this in the future, thank you for the support. Like, comment, share, send us a message. Let me know if you want to be a guest speaker. Get the book, look at the topics, and if you want to come on and be a guest subject matter expert and help me develop any of this content, more than plenty of room for that. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Friday. Shout out to all the dads and grads out there and all the people whose heartstrings are getting tugged on, these tiny slices that we make into our umbilical cords. Time is undefeated. We keep watering our kids. They keep growing. So if you're dealing with that emotional roller coaster of watching them go, shout out to all of you. All right, Sue, thank you so much.
Pleasure. All right. See you soon.
Everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.